working for yourself or working in a job where you're not confined and you have a lot of freedom to be innovative and to grow and to create. It could be, and you see it a lot, you see it sometimes with top executives. They've made a fortune and they get into their 60s and all of a sudden making a fortune doesn't matter to them anymore. They do a lot of volunteer work. They work with nonprofit agencies. They give away a lot of money.
Yeah, it's kind of a shift. I always found it interesting. You know, I'm all into making a lot of money, but you have someone, let's say even like a Donald Trump, supposedly, and there's some question there, but let's just say he's worth $3 billion. He's 60 years old. You just do the math. You can't spend that money. So, I mean, I don't understand. I'm totally into achieving success, making a lot of money, but then you get to a point, what are you doing? I mean, you're just doing a skull board. Right?
Donald Trump is what we call a high dominant personality. It's the game. It's the power. It's the control. It has absolutely nothing to do with the money.
Mm-hmm. So it's more just from a personal standpoint. Now, speaking of the terms of, you alluded to it earlier in our discussion about the four kind of dynamics that would fit into a workplace or a personal scenario. You talk about security, and then there's the bull in the china shop. Can people go in and out of those four dimensions? My point would be, if someone that's is laid off, they may initially look for that security because they've been downsized, but could they not transition to say, gee, I've been in this job for 2 years, too boring, for lack of a better word, I need more excitement. Can that happen?
Absolutely. You asked a really good question. One of the things that happens, people adapt. You have, basically, if you take a look at DISC, you have two DISC profiles. One is your natural profile that once you hit your mid to late 20s, when I believe it's when your brain is fully formed and set, you have created for yourself, based on your experiences, a behavior pattern. That is you. However, one of the things that I work with people on, especially young people, is the ability to adapt. And you have what we call a mass graph, and it's how you're existing to your current situation. When I see a problem is when the two graphs are extremely different, because somebody is drastically trying to be something that they're not every single day.
Mm-hmm. But that could be a natural occurrence or an outgrowth of being in the wrong job, couldn't it?
Absolutely, positively. Mm-hmm. What we look is for people to get jobs where their talents and their, not really personalities, but behavior styles are best fitted. Your true behavior style is yours pretty much for life. However, it does change under what we call a significant emotional event, which you hit on before. And that would be the loss, getting fired or laid off from a job, a divorce, death of a parent or spouse, and what I have found where people really have a tough time coming out of it is the death of a child.
No, I would imagine
they
so.
They can be changed for life.
Mm-hmm.
But when people can go through the normal grieving process, they pretty much go back right to where they were. Mm-hmm. That's you.
How about the people out there, unfortunately a lot of people possibly in our listening audience, viewing audience, that have been downsized? I mean, how do you get over that emotional devastation and kind of forge on into what you really want? The natural inclination would be get the first job.
Be busy. Keep faith. Dig deep inside yourself and see what you're really made of. And a lot of it is keeping a positive attitude. Things are going to happen. The economy is going to change. It's starting to now. You have to believe in what gifts, what you have to bring to the table. And before too long, somebody's going to realize that.
You think there's always hope out there then?
Always hope out there.
Mm-hmm.
Always hope out there.
And you as a entrepreneur, business owner, have you also faced situations where you've gone through difficult times and kind of, gee, this is really kind of the bottom of the barrel, how do I get out of this?
Absolutely. 10 years ago, I was going through some personal transitions. I was working with my son. He was a youngster, spending a lot of time with him, and my business took a slide. I knew that I had a choice, either to fold or to make things happen, and I went out and I hired a business coach. The gentleman's name is Barry Forster. He's a master coach. He's one of the finest in the United States, and he worked with me, and we turned things around. I tried to give him partial credit for it, but he said, "No, John, you did."
What made him such a great coach? Because I've interviewed many coaches out there. Some were really good. Some I thought were just kind of stating the obvious.
It was a blend of love and a kick in the rear end. And at that point in my life, that's exactly what I needed. Mm-hmm. He made me take a look at the gifts and the talents that I had. He made me take a look at the way I was looking at the world. And it needed some fine-tuning and correction. But as you know, we turned the business around, and now we're thriving. We've had periods. At one time, the state of Connecticut was my largest customer in total. And the governor came through and said there'll be no outside consultant, no outside trainers. I lost 45% of my business within 1 year.
Must have been devastating, wasn't it?
It was devastating, but you know, again, either you lay back and feel sorry for yourself, or you say, I'm not going to fail, and go out and do what you have to do.
That to me is, you talk about any kind of coaching, any kind of business insight, that to me is the quintessential choice people have to make. But it's not an easy choice, because sometimes, even if you're a strong person, you want to succeed, you can get encumbered by negativity because you're going through hell.
When the recession hit, everyone that I work with, all the other consultants that I associate with, I said to them, look, the economy is bad. The pool of business is smaller than it used to be. Either you can be a victim, or you can grab, the pool may be smaller, but you can grab a larger piece of that pool. One of the things that happens is people flounder. When I coach people, and this is something your audience should think about, I have 4 basic questions when I'm coaching somebody. First of all, what do you want? Why do you want it? Why don't you have it yet? And what are you willing to do to get it? Mm-hmm. If you have all those things answered and they're all in balance, you put together a plan, and you're going to be successful. You work your plan.
But what if something like in your case, and I give you, I'm not just saying that, I give you more than 110% credit. I admire any entrepreneur. I think it's an amazing achievement. But let's say someone who's thinking about being an entrepreneur or having a change of career, they've never done it before. How do you have the faith, and how did you have the faith to make it happen? To say, gee, this is not a pipe dream, this is me.
My behavior style, we have big egos, first of all. I'll tell you straight out. Secondly, I just knew that I could do it. I wanted to do it. I would not advise everybody to become an entrepreneur. You have to be a huge risk taker. Every year, as I grow my business, I take a lot of risks. Some of the risks don't pan out, but the majority of them do.
Mm-hmm. And how do you kind of assess your risk, and how do you not get? How do you deal with the negativity, or in terms of the disappointments?
At one time, the disappointments severely affected me. Disappointments, I'll feel bad. I've had some things happen, and I'll mourn for a couple of days, but you've got to pull out of it. I've got myself to support. I have my staff to support. I have clients that count on me to work with them. I have to be at my best every single day. Mm-hmm. If somebody, for instance, loses their job, get out of bed. Start making your contacts. Look. If you sit there in bed or you sit in the house and you watch television and you become inert, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
John, that is, to me, so important. Would you, and you're the expert, I believe at least, that you need to get out of bed, and even if you're not getting paid to do something, you got to start doing stuff while you're looking. I'm not saying, just put your hat on that, but you got to be doing stuff, correct?
I was caught in a downsizing in corporate America, and I got very depressed. And someone mentioned, as I was looking for work, someone mentioned, it'd be a great idea for you. You're bored out of your mind. Why don't you go to H&R Block, take some tax courses with them, and work for them during the tax season? I'll tell you, I didn't make a heck of a lot of money. I loved it. I was in downtown, I was in the Hartford area, and people came in all the time. I had people to talk to, and it was just fabulous. I was doing something. While I was doing that, I got a call from my very first client that offered me some work. They had known about my work. They gave me a call, wanted me to work with them doing a strategic plan, and things just happened.
Yeah, I think it's really, you start getting that inertia. I also think sometimes that we're in such a internet-driven society for those people looking for a job. To me, yeah, you got to do that, but if you sit behind the desk all day or in your house on the internet looking for a job, that to me is not proactive enough. What do you say as the expert?
I agree. I'm a firm believer that looking for a job is exactly like selling. Before someone will buy from you, my friend Bill Dorr has a saying, before people will buy from you, they have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you. And if you're on the internet, people aren't, and you're spending the day on the internet, you're not coming with enough people, you don't have enough people contact, and you're not coming in contact with enough people that will know you, like you, and trust you.
Well said. I think, you talk about it, and I know the John Birch Group does this fantastic job in helping people find a job. I think too many so-called career coaches, many of them that I have interviewed, in fact, focus too much on cracking the internet code and, applying for these jobs. And they have a point, and it's something to think about. But to me, I think that's just too passive. I think you could spend years doing that.
Absolutely. It's the activity.
So it not only gets you in a better emotional state, but it will help you exponentially in terms of landing that job.
Absolutely, positively.
So just get out there.
Get out there. Get out of the house. Dress up. I've gone to some meetings with people that are unemployed or are looking for work, and they show up. It was during the summer. Jeans, dirty shirts, sandals. You never know you never know who you're going to meet. And let's face it, first impressions are very important.
I don't think you really get a chance to make a second impression in today's world. You got that one impression. And I think I think you're so right, John. It's so indicative of how you look is really in direct relation to how you feel. And people pick up on that. If you're showing up with jeans and sandals, blah, blah, blah,
unshaven,
you're not going to be impress anyone.
Absolutely.
And
not.
I think that's so counterintuitive that someone of a sound mind would think that would be the right thing to do, showing up half-shaven, jeans, and sandals. That makes no sense whatsoever.
When I see somebody showing up like that, to me, it's a sign of somebody's given up. They don't have enough confidence in themselves to keep going and to forge ahead. They've given up, and that's how they dress. And most people, unfortunately, when they see someone like that, they feel that that's going to be an example of their work product.
And the Birch Group has helped people that have been counted themselves out rise above?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. John from the John Birch Group, believe it or not, our segment is up. Time has just flown by. Super guest. I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure our viewers did as well.